Welcome to FEO on the Air, the voice of the festivals and events industry in Ontario. This week, it's Supplier Spotlight with your host, Jay Nijhuis. Hello and welcome to FEO on the Air Supplier Spotlight. I'm your host, Jay Nijhuis, and today we shine the spotlight on our friends from Ontario Inflatables and Event Rentals. Joining us today, the owner, Brad Burkholder. How you doing, Brad?
Not too bad yourself, Jay. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Well, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. I usually like to start by asking my guests to tell us a little bit about their experience in the business and how you became involved with Ontario Inflatables.
Perfect. We have 3 hours, right?
Sure.
Funny enough, yeah, I started the company. I used to work for a catering company back in high school. Afterwards, always really enjoying the event, um, scene. 19 years old, had the opportunity to go to this show in Florida. It's called the Air Show. Went there, purchased a lot of our equipment, paid a lot of school fees in the first several years of all the things that you don't know when you're 19, 20 years old starting a business. And yeah, the rest is history. And honestly, I think I tell everybody when they ask me, they're like, oh, how'd you get into it? Do you love what you do? Honestly, I don't feel like I go to work every day. That's the one cool part about this industry and this business that, yeah, I love. So that's a bit on, yeah, how we got started.
Yeah, it's never a day of work if you love what you do.
Exactly.
So when we do these podcasts, I try to put myself in the shoes of the festival and event planners. So the questions I'm going to ask you today, I'm hoping would be questions that they would ask you in the very first sit down when you have your primary meeting to figure out whether you guys are a match and the kind of services you offer. So I've kind of broken the questions into 5 different categories. First category is company background and services. My first question, what types of inflatables, games, rental items do you offer for large festivals and community events?
Of course, honestly, we bit of everything. We've got your standard bouncy castles, obstacle courses, slides. We try and buy units that are, they stand out, they're bright, they're eye catching. So when you're in a street festival or a festival, it's stuff that's taller. It's going to be vibrant and stand out at events. But then we've got a lot of odd different things as well that we've got a laser maze trailer. We've got some mechanical rides. We've got new this year actually was our mobile zip line, and then just several other different little things that typically cater to larger festivals. But the goal for us is try and be as different as possible. We try and update our equipment every, I'd say, 3 years. We try to interchange all those items out, so you're not getting the same items at an event. um, Otherwise your customers then go shopping around and they want to go ahead and go to a supplier that has totally different inventory, so we try to keep it where we have basically a bit of everything.
Yeah, new and fresh is the key, right?
Exactly.
Do you offer any special packages for festivals and events?
Yeah, so a lot of the times it depends, of course, on the festival itself. We'll have your standard 1 day, festivals, but then you've got a lot of 3 day events where we'll tailor pricing and tailor the packages based on kind of their needs. As you can imagine, every festival, every group is different. You're going from fall fairs to we did one not too long ago where it was a full Western theme. So they were going with like our mechanical bull, our Angus McRodeo, which is one for little kids, our Western themed, 3-in-1 games, just different items like that. We do have packages that will cater to that individual festival. A lot of the times it's us building it out for them versus, we don't typically have the standard package on the website. It's once we get an idea and a feel for what they're wanting to do and what they want to achieve, that's when we can really execute and give them, the things that they're looking for.
Well, you mentioned little kids. I assume that safety and maintenance and compliance with local regulations is a huge deal for you guys.
Yeah, so we're governed by TSSA, which is our governing safety body. I actually sit on the advisory council for TSSA's inflatable amusement devices. Um, it's the biggest. It's kind of the joke of our industry is, you see all these ma and pas that they don't know what the regulations are. A lot of festival organizers, same deal. They have no idea what TSSA is. But a lot of the times it's these regulation or these governing bodies that we follow. They've figured out a lot. They've done a lot of the footwork, so these festivals don't have to. They don't have to. They're at ease essentially. That we go through annual testing. We go through, you know, when we buy a brand new unit, it has to go through a dossier. Basically a process where an engineer reviews everything, making sure the manufacturers are doing everything to ASTM standards. Once that's completed, TSSA then reviews it. Then an inspector comes out on site and reviews the individual device. So there is several levels of safety that do go into a lot of our inflatables, and just amusement devices in itself, like our zip line, for instance, like it goes through rigorous testing. Cables have to be swapped out annually, stuff like that. So that's of course our key. Our first priority is safety. So that's the TSSA. I had a meeting, actually, our planner meeting was with them yesterday, and just hearing the new things that are coming into play. It's just, it's great hearing that a governing safety body is making the changes and, adapting like they need to for the public safety.
And knowing that you guys are all over that stuff's got to be great peace of mind for the festival and event organizers.
Yeah, it's huge. Honestly, like one of the biggest things a couple of years ago when I joined the advisory council, it's a big piece where basically all my competitors are in our industry. Any of them can come to me and basically say like, "Hey, Brad, this is a change that we've seen as an issue in the industry. Can you please go ahead and speak to TSSA and bring this up at a council meeting?" I have another one actually tomorrow where we're talking about several things um, to try and get them to push and move forward on to, add that extra level of safety in the industry, essentially.
Okay, so let's say you're being booked for a multi-day event. What does that look like as far as delivery setup? How many staff are going to be around for that duration of the event?
Yeah, so typically on multi-day events, we try to have at least our office, a lot of times we'll meet them at, the FEO conference, or we'll meet them at several different trade shows. That's how we get the process started. We find out, hey, a lot of times I like to go into this where I go, what's your budget? We try and stay 20% under their budget to start. The reason why is there's little hidden things that they don't think of, staffing, for instance. The biggest thing that we'll try and basically push on is there a theme you're trying to follow? The budget, of course, is the biggest one, but what were your issues last year that you fell into that you don't want to have happen again this year? What's the reasoning why you left the company you were working with to come work with us? So we try and start with getting an idea of their event itself. Once we do that, we can either fully staff the event or we can go ahead. We will deliver the items, set them up. We can fully staff it where our staff are standing in front of the units, or we can have it where one of our staff stays on site, basically answering volunteer questions. They'll go ahead and sign off that they've been trained on how to supervise the unit. So our staff are always on site, making sure that, like I said, safety top priority, making sure the volunteers who are standing in front of those units are doing everything correctly. But yeah, we do everything from the setup, the tear down, the generators, taking care of all, making sure those generators, we keep fuel logs, making sure that those generators don't run out of fuel, and the inflatables deflate on top of kids. So a lot of different steps that we put into place. But for multi-day events, we will even offer like a lot of times there's multi-day discounts. We're not having to set up and tear down the equipment every single day. So, we try and pass those savings along to the customer, or sorry, the festival organizer itself as well.
Excellent. Next section I have here is audience engagement. Now, you've made reference a couple of times already to themes. How easy or difficult is it for you to work with a festival or event to kind of provide them with items that would match a theme that they're trying to go for?
Yeah, it just depends. A lot of the times, like right now, we're currently working with a organization for a Christmas party, and some of the items we don't own. But we'll always say to our customers, go ahead and let us know if there's certain items that you want for the future. If we see it as an item that we can add on and it's going to fit well into their theme, we entertain those ideas. We don't go ahead and go, oh yeah, it's not worth it. This one customer, they've made the comments, they're like, yeah, we'll probably book these items for the next 3 years for us. Then, it makes sense for us to make that investment. we try to work with customers as much as possible. The zip line was one of the biggest reasons why we ended up buying it. I had one customer that kept telling us, like, you need to get one, you need to get it. They come to actually FEO, they're one of the municipalities, and they kept asking us, and finally we saw one come up, we pulled the trigger on it, and I think they booked it now for this year and upcoming for next year as well. So we will, I know for us, there's a lot of upfront costs, but if we can build that relationship where it's, potentially a multi-year relationship as well, and, it adds to our inventory, kind of works for everybody, works well for everyone.
So I am a festival or event planner looking to bring in inflatables for the first time. What are the most popular inflatables or attractions that you've seen? For example, this summer, you've had a crazy busy summer. What would you say are the top, 3 to 5 items that everybody's asking for?
Funny, dunk tanks is one of the biggest ones. Great for fundraising. A lot of places will bring a dunk tank in. They'll bring like a hockey team in. They make a ton of money off that for their organization, just from a fundraising standpoint. They get the mayor up there, they'll get certain people up there that just turn to, turn some decent revenue in for them as well. Who's, they'll put the hockey coaches, some of the hockey team members will go up there, and people just get a kick out of it. The other things are the items we try and push heavily would be your slides and obstacle courses, purely just for throughput. The last thing you want at an event, and we get it all the time, where they'll book 5 inflatable bouncy castles. Well, you get 6 kids that can go in there for 3 minutes. So stuff starts to backlog. You get parents who start to complain, parents who start to get in arguments with other parents. Well, if you have throughput and the lines are moving quick, moving fast, parents don't complain. Then they're not standing there for a half hour wait. I know our zip line, for instance, like last year, this past summer, I think at one festival we had, it was like 2.5 hour wait, all for them to go up and down. Yeah.
My
And it's
goodness.
like, yeah. And it's like, and we do have markers showing people where, like, hey, you're roughly a 20-minute wait here, 15-minute wait here, an hour here. But unfortunately, when you got a 5-year-old screaming that they don't want to stand in line anymore and they want to be at the front, and there's still an hour to go, you may do, but our goal is to always try and push those items that are, just getting a lot more throughput, being the obstacle courses and slides.
I think a planner, if they ask themselves the question, why do I want to get inflatables? The answer to me is engagement. You're keeping families and kids engaged for a longer period of time at your event.
Yeah. That's honestly one of the largest things we hear as well, is like, this is the stuff that keeps people at their events. It gets them spending money with their food vendors, their beer garden. When the kids are entertained and, keeping themselves busy, parents end up staying. They end up buying dinner there. Maybe it was something where they were staying from, they're going there just for lunchtime or the afternoon. Now they end up spending money with your food vendors. They end up spending, staying for a beer with the neighbor or a family friend there, and the kids are playing. The ride all day wristbands, we'll see it a lot of the times for festivals will offer, they'll rent equipment, then they'll go do a ride all day wristband. Well, now the parents feel like, oh well, we're already here, we've already paid for the whole day, it's good till 9 o'clock, let's go ahead and stick around for dinner.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a must-have if you want families to enjoy your event and stick around for a long period of time. So
Yeah.
now you're really plugged in to the industry, or I'm sure you've got your ear to the ground all the time, new, hot, exciting things. Is there anything that you're kind of working on for 2026 season that you've got your eye on or thinking about buying to add to your stable of events? Can you share any of that?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're working right now. So we have of course, our zip line. We've this past year we've purchased. It's called the Climb Wall. We purchased it earlier in July. Earlier in June, and the Climb Wall itself, it's vibrant blue and green. It's not a standard rock wall. So up the center it's called the zipper. So instead of a kid climbing forwards, they have to try and go sideways. So they have to try and climb up, going up the side sideways. The other side's called pipes. So it's like a bunch of plumbing pipes all down the sides, and they all light up in LED. And then, so the kid's goal is to try and climb up the side of the rock wall itself or the pipe side itself. And then you've got your standard rock wall on the one side. Super cool unit, very vibrant. We had it at several events where it's just so eye catching. You can't miss it. We had it at one, I went to a street festival actually in Toronto, and it was about a 2 kilometer stretch, almost three probably, and you could see it clear as day right at the end of the street. Like couldn't miss it. Like so, it's that's one of them. We are working on some other cool projects right now that are. I'll be honest, we're keeping the cards close to the chest on that one because we're rolling them out. We roll them out typically at a lot of times FEO, OBIA, certain trade shows when we go there. That's where we kind of release the items that we're bringing out for 2026.
Excellent. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing what other cool things are on the way. When I booked you for this event, I threw a compliment your way. Your social media presence, probably one of the best I've seen for our suppliers. You're constantly posting stuff, you're constantly talking about your business. And that got me to thinking about asking a few questions about marketing and promotion, working with you as a festival and event planner. So if you book a festival or event and it's coming up, do you use your social media platforms to help market saying you're going to be there, join us, that type of thing?
We do, yeah. So we started. It was kind of funny. So 2 years ago, one of the employees or team members that worked here, she made a comment. She's like, "We should be following every single event or festival that's coming up. Like, let's go follow them." And at first, we got made the ongoing joke of like, it's funny how you're reaching out the week of. Now we try and do it as soon as they start booking or the booking process with us. We follow right from the beginning. That way, we also see things that pop up that they bring up, and it's funny. We actually one of the things we do market as well, but we caught something, and it actually worked out really well. They went and advertised their event. Well, since we followed them, we're like, hey, they've got this advertised from this time to this time, but they only booked it from this time to this time. So we like reached out, and thank goodness it ended up like basically it was just a miscommunication of something that had popped up. We caught it. It was great. But from a marketing standpoint, we try to push like, hey, this is where we'll be this upcoming weekend. Or if a lot of the times the festival themselves shares something about the event, we're pushing it on our social media platform as well. We have a marketing manager that started this year. Her name's Amanda. She's been phenomenal. Honestly, I don't have a single bad thing to say about what she's been doing. We're making a lot of changes. And it's funny, we had our social media presence kind of starting to pick up end of last year. She's really grabbed it by the horns and taken off with it, but we are really working on a ton of other stuff as well. We've changed a ton of stuff in our back end, certain things, engagement. It's amazing all the stuff you don't realize that you don't know about social media until you get into it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a whole different beast. But yeah, she's been doing a great job with it. And we have actually had a lot of compliments too from festivals where they've said like, "Oh, share this and we'll share your stuff." So that yeah, that's kind of the goal there, is to just try and engage as much as possible with festival organizers.
Have you guys taken that next step for like cross promotion? So you promote their event, they give you like family passes or something to give away as a contest or something. You kind of work together to not only promote the event, but to try to drive some audience, some traffic there.
Yeah, so it is something we've done. It's funny that we did one a couple years ago. I don't know if you ever remember them, but like it was called Hatchimals. It was these like little tiny things. You couldn't get them anywhere in shopping malls or any like it was the hot toy for Christmas. So back then we were like, how can we get some engagement? How can we, work this out? So we ended up working with a festival. They ended up having this event was coming up. So we're like, hey, we'll do it as like a following contest. You follow us, you have the chance to win passes to this festival along with these toys. The toys is what like just like gave us a follow, gave the festival organizer a follow. I think between like just this contest, we ran it for like 6 days. We had over I think 1,200 new followers, and I think they had over like 1,800 new followers. And we're going, oh my goodness, this worked out really well. We are starting to reintroduce it since Amanda started. We are trying to introduce more of this stuff. It's funny, we keep saying though, we're like 40 hours in a week's not enough time to do all the things we want to do. So we have some co-op students actually right now that are in here, so they're going to start helping out a little bit more. So it allows her to be able to do some more of that cross promotional stuff to be able to push their event a lot more. And if we can get them engagement as well, works for everybody.
Excellent. So I know as a festival or event planner, sponsorship dollars are getting harder and harder to come by. How open are you to a planner securing a sponsor for the inflatables area? Do you have a way to brand any of your slides or mazes or anything with a sponsor logo to help these festivals secure sponsorship dollars to pay for some of the stuff that's going on their site?
Yeah, so we've got a couple items. So we've got our standard like bounce and slide combos. You can go ahead and have a banner made for the front of it. So instead of it being, let's say a theme of like farm theme or Halloween or whatever it is, you can have it where we did one a few years ago. Actually, it's funny enough, I can see downtown Milton Street Festivals on here. It's for Toyota. I think it was back 9 years ago, and Toyota was one of their larger sponsors. So we had a banner made that went across the front and said, "Kid Zone brought to you by Toyota." Our mobile zip lines, Town Whippy this year, Tim Hortons sponsored it for them. And then it was the Home Sweet Home Festival. The zip line itself has 8 large advertising points on it. So you can add that package on, which you can't miss it. If you're on any of our social media platforms, you'll see it on there. It stands out. And then the last one, we have some others, but like the three bigger ones would be the zip line, the inflatable, and then our trackless train has 12 advertising spots. City of Pickering, actually, they do them all the time where, I think Discount Car and Truck Rental the one time, they sponsor the entire train for their Santa Claus parade, little different things like that where, it allows them to get the cost of that item paid for, or if not, the whole entire kid zone itself. So it's worked out really well for a lot of the festivals and organizations that can add that in there and have a large amount of those costs, which are fairly expensive, covered by a sponsor.
That's awesome. That's great that you had that flexibility. That would really help them out with sponsor dollars for sure. Social media, Instagram, huge. Do you ever set
Yeah.
up like a photo area where people can be on site at the festival or event and get that Instagram photo that they want to post?
Yeah, so one of the cool things we introduced this year was so we have these two different devices that we got. One's called Draw Me Lots, and the other one's called it's our photo mirror. It's a large mirror. Basically, the cool part about it is it's got AI generated backgrounds. So let's say, your background like you've got there, Jay, you can go and have that as the background. And then I know I can think of one for the town of Midland this year. They had the front of it where it was sponsored by, and then had the town of Milton, or sorry, town of Midland. And then Draw Me Bot's super cool thing there as well. These cards. So what will happen is there's an iPad there. It takes a picture of your face, and a robotic arm comes out and draws what you look like.
Ah,
So super cool purchase we got this year. But you can have these cards printed where you can have that, hashtag, whatever the festival name is, and then a lot of them do get shared on social media. You know, sending a lot of it back to the festival's way. Just getting that engagement online.
yeah, get that hashtag going and get the
Yeah.
promotion. So let's get into some brass tacks here of dollars and cents, because that's going to be a
Hmm.
big determining factor on whether or not people organizing these events can afford your services or not. Do you work on flat rental fees? Do you do revenue sharing, or is it kind of a combination of both?
A combination of both. So it just depends on the festival itself. So, some festivals will have it where they have no idea, they don't have a budget to start out with, but they know, hey, we're going to get 50,000 people here. So we've done revenue sharing where sometimes for a first year event, we will come in, depending on the amount of patrons that are coming to the event. We'll come in, we'll say to them like, hey, we'll work with you guys where you don't have to go and fork out all this money. You guys, some festivals that spend 20, 30, $40,000 on a setup for 3 days. Some just don't have it at the beginning. So they look at it as like, okay, we'll do a profit sharing where we'll come in, we'll say, hey guys, this is, if you can provide volunteers for the inflatables, we'll provide the staff to, look after it. We'll provide the inflatables itself. We'll sell tickets, and then we do a revenue share. The other option is as well is we go in, we'll set up like a 3 day price. A lot of our pricing is geared off like, first day full price, second day half price, third day half price. we're eliminating that cost of having to set up on Saturday morning again after it's already been set up on Friday. So we do pass those savings along to the customer. The goal at the end of the day is, as long as the budget works for, as long as we can work within their budget and it's fair for everybody. A lot of times we have a lot of good interactions with our clients where you try and be as transparent as possible. And from the get go, there's always that like loaded question when you ask like, hey, what's your budget? You never want people thinking like it's, oh, are they asking this so they can take advantage of our budget? That's not the case. It's like we want to build you the best bang for your buck we possibly can. So if they turn around and tell us, hey, they've got a $10,000 budget, we try and give them as much possible, like as much equipment as possible. And then say to them, hey, if you can avoid paying our staff, it allows you to add to your festival. If you can have volunteers there, we can give you more equipment to fit within your budget. That way, it adds that one level up for your event, not having to pay for staff. So you take that, money, some of them will pay $2,000 for staffing for a day. And you're like, you could get an extra obstacle course, you get this, as long as you have volunteers. But unfortunately, yeah, it's getting more and more difficult to find volunteers these days. So
It is indeed. So I take it you'd be cool if they packaged the inflatable, let's call it the inflatable city for lack of a better term. If they packaged it in like a VIP experience or a premium ticket package on their website, you'd be flexible to work with them on that as well.
yeah, we've done stuff before where we'll even offer like time blocks for VI. Like we've done stuff where it's been a VIP experience and you do a time blockade between 6 and 7, which is probably the busier time. If you have a VIP pass, you can come into this area. We do work with a lot of festivals and with the VIP because they do know, some of these sponsors, they'll include 20 kids passes to give away to some of their clients. Well, they don't want their clients going there and waiting half an hour in lineup for certain items. They want them to be able to go in and have kind of like a fast pass. So we do work with a lot of festivals in that respect and organizations offering something along those lines.
And do you offer any kind of a discount if you are a multi-year recurring festival working with you?
We do, yeah. So a lot of times we know um, you always hear the term, right? It's more expensive to get a new customer than it is to keep a current one. So we pass those savings along to uh, our current clients. So when we know, like, okay, they're coming back year after year, the nice thing that they trust your services. So we pass that along. We'll throw in free items, free games, things like that. For multi annual events, essentially.
Oh, that's great. Certainly, returning customers would be a huge part of your um, intake. If
Yeah,
you want them booking for 2026 right after 2025 ends, that's perfect.
yeah, exactly.
So the last section I have here is growth and innovation for your company. Um, we kind of talked about this a little bit. Do you see any trends for event rentals that festivals should be aware of?
Honestly, funny. Not so much trends. It's just like the changing. I feel like every year there's like a new item or a new fad that comes out. So we go to a trade show in Florida. It's called IAP. It's the International Amusement Expo. So we see all the new items that are coming out for years to come. So or that upcoming year. A lot of the times we'll get notified by this stuff in September. We put a newsletter together. We'll send it out to some of our clients who have signed up for our newsletters. We'll send it out saying, hey, new this year, let us know if it's something of interest. It just depends. There's just one cool item that came out, and it's called the Ultimate Vertigo, and it's this like hamster wheel that spins around with all these lights. I remember the first time we ever went to the show, and I took, oh, it's the first time Karen in our office ever went to the show, and she walks into this thing, and it starts spinning around her, and you feel like you're turning sideways inside the way it's like messing with your head. And I remember walking through it. I can't stand roller coasters, any of that stuff. And she's walking through this, and I'm like, I'm sick walking through it. And she's coming right behind me, and she's like, "Oh my God, Brad! Like never again. I'm not going through this." But it's it's one of those items that came out. We're like, hey, what can we? we do with this? What can we? And we didn't end up buying it because it was so hard to market. But we tried to see it as like, okay, how can we make this like, one of the things we owned back a few years ago was called water balls. It was such a big fad where the kids got to run around on water, and everybody wanted it at their event. We had it booked out every single weekend, and it was trending for 2 years, 3 years, and then after that, it just dropped off. People had that like fun with it. We wanted to do the same with this one here. Trying to set a trend with it for like the 2 years, 3 years. But it was just an item that was going to be so hard to market. But we try and basically, if we see stuff in our industry that's happening earlier or prior to that customer contacting us, we'll go ahead, we find out what it is, we put it in a newsletter, or we reach out saying, hey, this is going to be new this year. And a lot of times they want to find out more about it.
So many of the municipalities across the province have a wide range of festivals and events happening during the course of the summer. What do you think helps my festival stand out with a partnership with you? What makes me
Yeah.
a step above?
Yeah, so like as mentioned before, with our social media, we are starting to work a bit more in that respect with pushing that engagement towards that festival itself. Having items that are different. Last year, we had our mobile our mobile laser maze trailer. So basically, think Mission Impossible. The first time we rolled it out was actually last year at FEO in Niagara Falls, and we went ahead, basically pushed it. It was so popular. It's different. You try and get these different things that are going to make your festival different, where people want to come out and try this new item because they haven't seen it at a festival in the past. Everybody sees bouncy castles, slides, obstacle courses because they're your main attraction. That's proven to work. But we came out with the mobile laser maze trailer, where basically think it's Mission Impossible. Kids got to go through without trying to touch any of the lasers. You don't see any of that stuff typically at festivals. So you try and just do the different things that are going to it sets us apart in our industry, which then entails, goes and sets that festival itself apart from others, just from having a different attraction than anyone else would have.
So that does it for my questions. I do have one from the chat. Holly is here from the town of Gravenhurst. She says her municipality is hesitant to allow inflatables, citing liability issues. What would you say to the municipality to kind of get rid of those fears?
Yeah, so a lot of the times I'm currently working with, I'll use it, the school boards, for instance, right now. We are having a similar issue with the school boards. Same deal. They see it as a risk. A lot of the times there's just that they see one bad video, they see one bad thing, and they turn around, they pull the trigger, and they say, oh, no, we're not going to allow this any further. The option is you can swap to games, you can swap to things where kids' feet don't leave the ground, stuff like that. But also, this is leading back on TSSA. One of the gentlemen that works with TSSA, his name's Sonny, he's an advocate for our industry. And he goes, if you ever need us to speak to municipalities, insurance companies, stuff like that, he goes, talk to me. He's like, I'll happily explain to them. He's like, the safety, the regulations that you guys go through. Sometimes as well is it's just a matter of talking to them about insurance. Like, they reach out to us, we'll get in touch with our insurance company, we'll have them talk with their insurance company. We had an issue with, you know, um, I'm trying to think of who it was a couple of years ago, but it was an event where they were having a problem after problem after problem. And finally, our two insurance companies talked, and it was all sorted in like 2 days. And we're going, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. This is like so long and dragged out. It's just a matter of, it's all stuff that, there's that do what you do best, you pay people to do the rest. That's what we pay for insurance. We get the two brokers on the phone with each other, they figure it out, and they're willing to work with you. It's stuff that, it's not our forte. We're doing it right now with one of the school boards. We're trying to talk to one of the insurance companies that insures a lot of the school boards. Same deal. You just that giving them the tools they need on their end to be able to talk to their insurance companies or their municipalities. Some of them, they just don't want to allow them for certain reasons that they have, where they may have had an issue in the past. But a lot of the times we found that they're willing to change things up just based off talking with our insurance company and allowing, that one little change.
All right,
Well, Jay,
we're
can I?
gonna yeah we're gonna I'm just gonna let Holly know that I'm gonna put Brad's email address in the chat if that's okay with you, Brad. She's interested
Yeah,
in connecting with you and talking about this a little bit more.
perfect.
Dave, question.
Yeah, so Brad, I heard you mention, parents and kids standing in lines for 2.5 hours. First of all, I can't ever imagine doing that, but I guess some people are more dedicated to their kids than I am. Are you able to predict to the different festivals and events that you're supplying to what is going to trigger a line so that they can do some sort of activation for that line, whether it's a busker or what to keep people entertained while they are waiting there?
Yeah, so funny enough, the event that this did happen at, that's what they had. We we now know this. An item, I'll be honest, we never had an item prior to our zip line that had ever caused a lineup like this. So it was a learning experience for us as well. It was honestly quick planning that day. I was there to sign off on the zip line that day, and when they were seeing the lineup build, it was one of those things where we made a couple adjustments. And funny enough, they ended up having a busker, I believe it was Fire Guy actually. He ended up coming down that way, and they changed where his shows were taking place. So instead of his shows taking place, 2 blocks up the street, they brought his stage down. So they had, the municipality staff bring everything down, and they changed up. You kind of, now that we know it, we ask them like, hey, what's your attendance been in the past? Once we have an idea of that, we've also sped up how we do things with the zip line. So now we have, like, we used to have it where I think we had 8 harnesses and 8 helmets kind of thing. Cause you'd think like, oh, that's enough. Like you got 2 kids riding it at a time. Now the way we do it is we outfit like 15 kids with harnesses and helmets. So then that way everybody's ready to go. So the throughput kicks up a lot more on things like that. But yeah, just making the changes, like you said, with the buskers. We try and get an idea of what the attendance is going to be like prior to, because we'll even have it before where we had a school event that happened 3 weeks ago. Last year they booked like 4 inflatables, and the lineups were insane, and we're going like, and it's funny, our office did try and tell them like, guys, we recommend changing it to this. They chose to take it upon themselves to do it their way. And then the next year they called me like, yeah, we had a lot of parents getting in fights. So we're going to go ahead and add more equipment, and then had our staff supervising it just to make things a little smoother. But yeah, honestly, a lot of times you got those, as I mentioned to Jay, you got school fees that you start with on those first couple events sometimes, and you learn and you figure it out real quick and you make those changes.
And you know what? It's a great point you made there, how you recommend it. And it's so often, our festival planners and organizers, have it in their mind that it's going to work such and such a way. But you guys have been to so many and the trending. And, I think it's really important for all of us to use our suppliers as, part of a team member that can input great advice and share past experiences and predict problems just like you're talking about.
Yeah, it's funny whenever we hire staff that come in here into our office. I always say to them, I go, guys, like for us, we do 1,500 to 2,000 events a year. So for us, it's another event. Of course, we try and make every event our top priority. I always say to the staff, I go, if you show up 10 minutes late, I go, at the end of the day, I go, yes, for you, it's just an event you're going to set up. I go, but it's their one event. You can't buy time. You cannot buy, you got 5 guys in a truck, you're 10 minutes late. I always say to them, I go, think of what the customer's thinking on their end. I'm like, you're showing up late, or so for us, like, we pride ourselves. We show up early. We make sure that, like, we never want to put the customer through that stress or that headache. So we make recommendations, and then even to our staff as well. We always say, like, show up 15 minutes early, be ready to work. Don't, we never want to put our customer through that stress or that headache of, the worry of, oh, are they going to show up, or are they going to go ahead and, what's the best way to execute our event in a way where, like, it's that wow factor, right? Yeah. So we do what we can in that respect. So where, we give the as many tools as we can to the festival organizers to
And another
help
great
them along the
point
way.
is, the event might be your customer, but their customers are also your customers. Your signage
Yeah,
is on the equipment, so it's really a pass through that. And I think it's a great way to look at it is everybody's involved in the chain.
yeah, exactly.
Any other questions? Thanks, Dave. So, Brad, I'm going to give you one last chance to make a final pitch as to why you think festivals and events should always include an inflatables or games rental area.
The engagement, and like we talked about earlier, it's, they keep people at your event. Just always keep in mind that this is stuff that's gonna, those vendors that are paying their vendor fees to come to your event, having this stuff there it's gonna keep people, patrons at your event, spending, at the event, putting revenue. When we talk about it all the time, you're like, oh wow, this is a great event. We want to make sure we get this one back. It's the same with these vendors that are, coming to the event. If we're there on site, and we have it all the time. We've been asked all the time, hey, how much space do you guys need? We've had several vendors ask if they can be set up near your area. And certain items, it just, the kids gravitate towards them. The parents love it. And like I said, they stay there for those extra couple hours. And even if they spend an extra, $40 in lunch, dinner, it just that, that's the stuff that keeps the festival economy going, right?
There's a reason why candy floss ice cream and deep fried Mars bars are right beside your inflatables.
Oh, exactly, right?
If someone's watching or listening to this podcast, can you maybe share your website address and your email so that they can get in touch with you and get you involved with their festival or event?
Yeah, so if you can find us, info at Ontario Inflatables, info at OntarioInflatables.com or OntarioInflatables.com. That's our website and email. Or of course, you go on Instagram, TikTok. You'll see also all of our, we always actually encourage people go to our social media pages. We have YouTube as well, but our Instagram is one of those areas that we really want to see some items in action. One of the cool things we're working on right now is implementing YouTube videos for almost every item we have. So in that way, it's not just, you're coming on and you see a picture of things, right? There's that pictures speak 1,000 words, videos speak 1,000,000, right? So there's that, we're trying to make those changes, but yeah, you can find us either Instagram, our website, OntarioInflatables.com or info at Ontario Inflatables. Yeah.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for the chat today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's always a pleasure.
So next week, because of Thanksgiving coming up and everything, we're just a little bit crazy. We're going to take a break next week for our podcast, but we will return on Tuesday, October 21st, when Dave McNeil sits down with RTO3 to experience Ontario with Maria Fortunato, Troy Young, and a variety of other festival and event guests. So don't miss that. Until next time, I'm Jay Nijhuis, sharing our most valuable resource. That's our suppliers. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to FEO on the Air, the voice of festivals and events in Ontario.